Hey, welcome to the Tuesday night Principal Chiropractic broadcast brought to you by DE and Band of Brothers around the world. So, just a couple little things. DE is coming up in April. If you haven't signed up for it, you got to get there. I believe this may be the last one we do in Sarasota for a long time. So if you've never been to DE in Sarasota in April, you need to get there because it's absolutely gorgeous. And more important, it's what the fire that's inside the room. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up for DE. Get your hotel booked up, get your flights, and get ready. Tonight, we have a speaker. I have to be totally honest with you. I've really not met Jamie. Our speaker is Jamie Masyk. He's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Or I think Chattanooga on the Tennessee-Georgia border. He can fill you in a little bit more, but I'm really excited to hear his story because he's a life graduate 13 years ago. He's been in practice for 13 years. Says he's been to DE a lot, then he took a little hiatus, and he's been back for the past year and a half. And I'm just excited to hear his story. So, with no further ado, let's give up for Jamie.
Thank you, Andy. I'm Jamie Masyk. I practice in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, small suburb of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I actually live in Chattanooga, so cross the state line every day. It's great. Love it up here. Little bit about my history. I started school in 2005. Thankfully, it's like today I want to talk about, how strong is your foundation in chiropractic? How strong is your foundation in the principle of life? Because it really matters. When you're under pressure, you don't typically rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. And thankfully, I was highly influenced in 2005 when I first moved down here from the great state of Canada. The Great White North is where I'm from. And I was influenced to be a chiropractor from a DE chiropractor named Bob Champagne. You might know some of his family members. There's Mike Louise Desonier, the Bohemiers. They're all the same family. I think there's like 46 or 48 of them now that are chiropractors. It includes Aaron Rossi. He married into the family. And he's Aaron Rossi's been a huge influence for me as well. But back to how strong is your foundation and a principle of chiropractic in life? When I moved down here in 2005, my first outing was to a Sunday DE. They allowed people like students to come for free on Sundays. We were told, load up into this van. There was maybe 5, maybe 7 of us that went to a Sunday DE. I had no idea where I was going. We were just told, we're going somewhere, load up in this van. And we get to DE, and it was my first time at a DE, and started, it's like hearing stories, hearing the chiropractic principle. From there, every single Sunday, Mike and Louise Desonier, Mike Desonier taught at Life University. He taught some upper cervical classes. I think he taught some chiropractic philosophy as well, if I'm not mistaken. But they always hosted a Sunday brunch, and it was like going to church. And we were showing up to Sunday brunch every single weekend. And it was I'm so thankful for that, because we sat there and talked about chiropractic, talked about life, and talked about more of a natural, mindset to everything that you do. And you never know, it's like when you're going to be tested in life. And one of the things that we were tested on in 2020 was this pandemic, this fear pandemic that swept across the world. And so, it's like I had a foundation in chiropractic principles in life stating this is crazy. It's like we studied how the body works. We studied, like, how amazing it is. And this little virus to be fearful has sounded crazy to me. Well, that type of thing, it's like I didn't like, it's like do anything in fear. We stayed open. Thankfully, it's like I'm in North Georgia and we remained open. It's like we didn't wear masks, we didn't live in fear. We were a safe haven for our community. But there's a lot of it's like very influential chiropractors out there that run groups that it's like teach technique that were fearful, telling you shut your office, do this for mankind, which is crazy to me. And it's like we lived in like at our office a totally different mindset. And it's like I'm so thankful for the mindset that I've gathered from being around DE people and being around the chiropractic principles. I think like before chiropractic, I think, what if I never went to chiropractic school? I used to drill oil wells, fight forest fires. I didn't have a mindset in like natural healing, natural health, and an understanding of, how the body functions and works. And it's like I was like everybody else, it's like thinking about the medical mindset. And I think like, what if I didn't go to chiropractic school through that whole pandemic? Where would I be? I'd be like everybody else, watching the news, living in fear. So I had a test. So I graduated school in June 2009, opened up a practice with Dan too and his dad called Friends and Family Chiropractic in Marietta, Georgia. We opened up and we were about 3 years open, and I was faced with a health crisis. It's like not maybe not too many people know this, but like I was faced with cancer, and it's like it's a scary thing to hear. And going back to the foundation that you have for life and chiropractic, that will dictate, it's like like your decisions that you're going to make. And so I was faced with cancer. It's a tough thing for me to talk about, but faced with that. And so my whole question was like, well, what the heck? Like why does my body do this? Why does my immune system not pick this up? What's going on? And and so, I didn't live in that fear like everybody else lived the fear for me. They're like, "Oh my God, fight cancer! Like you got to do something." And like, it's like I took a back seat and I was like, "Well, what the heck's going on?" And it's like a lot of stress in my life, past toxicities, like, relate to that. But like all my decisions that I made were based on how do I strengthen the body? How do I, detox the body so that it can be better and what it's supposed to do. So I went through a year and a half of like, things like juicing, it's like high dose vitamin C IV and stuff like that. And I went through like probably about a year and a half of that. And I tell you this story because it's like it helped me through the chemotherapy that I had to get. My the cancer spread, and it was under control. I opened up a new practice in North Georgia here, and in 2 weeks into open, I was bedridden. And so, it's like I still managed to get in the office. I spent 2 hours a week in the office, adjusting so I keep the doors open. I still went to networking events in the community. I kept tight-lipped over the whole thing. I was in a lot of pain, and I still went through the motions of building a practice, which probably isn't recommended because there was a lot of stress on my body. That stress allowed that cancer to, I think, spread a little bit quicker. And, it's like months and months of going through that. It's like digestion was shutting down. It's like I was barely able to pee and stuff like that. Like my systems were shutting down. And at that point, it's like I decided like I got to do something. And so thankfully, medicine is there. And, it's like I made a phone call, one day, it's like next day I was getting a PET scan the day after. I was getting set up with chemotherapy, and then like 2 days later, like a serious issue, I was receiving a plethora of toxins in my body. But the training that I received through chiropractic and DE was like, don't live in fear. Things are going to be good. Um, keep strengthening your body. I did up my game in chiropractic. It's like, thankfully, I was able to get adjusted like every day. With from Dr. Art Kaufman. He was in Chattanooga, and we worked through this. Where, sorry, a little emotional on that, but like when you think about most people and they go through that, they freak out, and they follow the rules that an oncologist tells you to do, and they tell you eat for calories, eat orange sherbet shakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, eat breads, eat candy. It doesn't matter. Well, I chose differently. It's like I still maintain a healthy diet, veggie, juicing. When I was receiving chemotherapy, they'd roll around carts with like soft drinks and cakes and all sorts of crazy stuff. And they thought I was the black sheep in there. It's like I'd show up with a smoothie, up with juice. It'd take me about 3 hours in there every single day. They told me I shouldn't drive home. Well, I didn't have an option, so I'd drive myself home. And then it's like a sleep most of the day, work through stuff. But it's like the question for everybody out there is like, what do you do to strengthen your foundation and your belief systems that when you get challenged, you still make good decisions? So this also goes to people in practice. I don't know who's on the call. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to speak the truth. And we get challenged in the office. Like I get calls all the time. Hey, you could sell, it's like infrared boots, make a ton of money and help people with neurology. You're helping people. Isn't that your job? That's what you want. Are you going to sell out like that? Is my question. You do what you do. I'll do what I do. I'm not here to call people out, but also we got called, like I got a call the other day. It's like, oh, if so you set up a space in the office, we can do nerve conduction tests. You'll make like $1,800 a person or whatever it was. You make an extra 20,000 a month. It's like by signing patients up to get nerve conduction tests for, it's like nerve issues. And it's like I don't want any part of that. The friends that it's like I made in chiropractic are strong in principle, chiropractic principle. Um, they would probably lynch me if I sold out like that. And that's where I hold myself. And it's like I thankfully gained a lot of this knowledge through DE, showing up, being around people that are like-minded. And so if you're wavering on the edge and your training is very limited in the foundations and your belief systems, you can get challenged in an easy way where you sway off to the side and do things, right? I look at getting chemotherapy as not necessarily swaying. It's like it's something I needed to do to stay alive. It's like I took it right to the end, to see what my body would do with it. And, it's like, fortunately, chemotherapy was there when I needed it, but I also prepared my body for that. And so, it's like, if you need foundational principles, get them. Green Books is a good way. Listening to audio like Reggie Gold, Sigafus is great. Dr. Sid, be around like-minded people. There's Band of Brothers, there's Tuesday night calls like this. GCC is amazing. It's like I see people always asking like, oh, what do I do about CEs? Like, I'm so fed up with taking these CE credits that are just garbage. Well, come to Georgia, go to GCC, look at their website. They're all over the state. It's like giving great CE credits. that are principled. I haven't, I've been going there for, I don't know, it's like 13 years or something like that. I don't hear any garbage. It's great. And it's like be around like-minded people and people who are fired up about chiropractic. Um, because it's like you never know when you're going to be tested. It's like, who knew 2020 was going to be like some crazy idea out there, and it's like, unfortunately, people bid onto that and carried it, and it changed, it's like everything. But it's like, hold strong, hold strong to what you believe. Chiropractic is amazing. I get questioned all the time, like, oh, what should I do for this issue? And I'm like, you're asking me? Like, you should do chiropractic. And it's like, we're on the side of things where we see amazing things happen. It's like, I stayed late tonight and I'm still at the office. There's a newborn struggling, and it's like, we're slammed all day. I don't have time to fit that in today. And I was like, it's an emergency. I'll be here. I'll stay late. And it's like, I was here till, it's like 8 o'clock, seeing this little newborn baby that's struggling. And the parents are like, we don't know what to do. It's like, we're ready to lynch ourselves because we don't get any sleep. It's like, somebody referred them to her office, and it's like a pediatrician backed that up. And I'm like, that's crazy. It's like, usually pediatricians are like, don't go to a chiropractor. But the guy down the road was like, I heard about True Life Chiropractic, and that's our office. And these people show up. Keep your head in the game, stay strong, build a solid foundation, because it's like, you need that. It's like, you sink to the lowest level of training, or to your level of training. If you haven't had any training and like solid chiropractic ideas, get it. All right. Well, that's it for today. Kind of rambling on, a little nervous, first time on the call. But I thank everybody for, it's like what they've done for me and everybody else, including Kat. She doesn't get enough recognition. And thank you, Andy. We'll see you at one of the next E's.
Wow, that was amazing. You don't have to apologize for getting emotional about that story. That's quite a story, my brother. Thank you for sharing. Can you
Thank
can
you,
you hear
Andy.
me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you dropped a lot of bombs in there, but one thing you said, like your lowest, what would you say? You're only sink to your lowest level of your training. So you need to
Well,
surround yourself with those people. That's great.
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say that too. So like at one point I fought forest fires, right? And we were a crew of 4, and we get dropped off at a helicopter, and we were in training told, get dropped off at the back of the fire. Up in Canada, there's so much water, we stick a pump in the water, run a hose, and you're at the fire, right? In the US, it sucks because you have to dig a hand line, it's more work. So you get close to the fire, and we were told never get dropped off in front of the fire, but that's where the action is. That's where the adrenaline comes from. And we were a crew of 4, and we trained diligently, trained for speed. So a speed, how fast can you get a pump in the water and water through that hose and water on a fire? And we're a crew that trained hard. We were young, wild. We get, it's like our quickest time was like 2.5 minutes, right? From getting dropped off helicopter, pumping water, it's like water on the fire. And so there was other crews that are like, holy cow, like, how do you do that? And we're like, we train. If you don't train for stuff like that in times of survival like that, like, we'd have fire just like roaring around us. And it's like, in times of training, or in times like that, survival mode, you need to be on your A game and get that water on the fire to save your butt. And it's like, we lost everything maybe once or twice, but it's like we had amazing excitement doing that.
So
So
one, get great training,
And if you haven't had that in school, because I hear all the time, oh, I went to school at National, or I went to school wherever, and I didn't get that training. That training is available at DE. That training is available. Anybody who ever spoke at DE, who attends DE, will gladly speak it to you and work with you, right? I mean, when I came, I've been in practice 20 years when I came to DE, and I was like, what is this talking you guys talk about? And so, hey, I had to train. But then once you get the training, trust that training. So when you are dropped in a freaking fire, you trust the training, you do your deal, right? Because you've been training your ass off for the whole time. And that's I mean, when the crisis hits you in your life personally, and the crisis hit the world in 2020, and there's crises every day in our practice. But if we trust our training and aren't afraid to go and right back to our training and go at it, then we're going to be okay, And I love that message, man. Just absolutely love it. Appreciate it.
Every day in the office, we get worked, and it's like you can just be like, it's water off a duck's back, right?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
issue.
But tell the story. Keep telling the story. Keep telling the story. You never know. Yeah, 5 or 6 people in a row may not, get it. But that one person that may get it, all of a sudden goes the pediatrician. Now the pediatrician's sending you, 8 or 10 kids in the next 2 or 3 months because they don't know what the heck to do with them, right? And then how many families are saved by that?
And part of practice building is like that pediatrician, like, is like, go to a chiropractor. Like, I should fill out, like, it's like a little report and say, hey, this is what we found. This is why we do what we do. And these are the benefits, and send
100%.
it back to them, and like, build a
100%.
connection. Cause it's
absolutely
like I've tried to get connected with every single pediatrician in this area. There's like, yeah, let's set up a meeting. I meet, and they're just like, get out of here. And I'm just like, so that's an open door opportunity right there.
Absolutely, man. Like I said before, I don't really know you, didn't know you, but I feel like I know you a lot better now. So I love and appreciate you, and I love and appreciate you opening your heart and telling your story.
Thank you. You
Absolutely.
guys have a good night.
All right, everybody, have a great night. Get registered for DE, and we'll see you next week. Love and appreciate you all.